Here in Canada, becoming an engineer is a journey that starts with enrollment in an accredited engineering program, usually a Bachelor of Applied Science or Bachelor of Engineering at one of our many fine universities. The first year is often one of discovery, with students taking core courses in math, science, and introductory engineering design, as they suss out what branch of engineering sparks their interest. The next 3 or 4 years, depending on whether a co-op placement is involved, will focus on specialized courses in the chosen discipline, more complex design projects, and often a capstone design project in the final year. Many students alternate academic semesters with paid work terms in the industry, which provides valuable real-world experience and is often essential for securing a job after graduation. Once their degree is completed, graduates can work as engineers in training. To become a licensed professional engineer, or PEng, they must register with their provincial or territorial regulator. To earn the PEng designation, an EIT typically completes about 4 years of acceptable engineering work experience under the supervision of a licensed PEng. They demonstrate good character and pass a professional practice exam covering ethics, law, and professional responsibility. Achieving the PEng title means you're legally and ethically recognized as a professional engineer in Canada, with the right to take legal responsibility for your work. From that point on, continuing professional development keeps skills sharp as technologies, standards, and society's needs evolve. Joining me on the podcast today are 4 individuals at the start of their engineering career. We'll be talking about what they wish they'd learned in school, what they're experiencing now, and what messages they might have for others who are just starting their own journey in the world of engineering.
Coming to you on the internet, audio, on my stem, homies know AE's where you gotta go. Shuffle to the rhythm of the Grandma Michael groove. It's a whole new pure plur interview. Treat your ears to the gist of careers from the list of our engineers and scientists, maybe twisted up with technologists. It's a podcast, baby, and not to be missed. Got more fly than a ripe banana, like the salmon got the stamina streaming across Canada. Like a trade show cabana, got that swiggity swag and the 411 for my horse and my anchor. AE Live, don't you know we're gonna innovate? AE Live, got a topic here to elevate. AE Live, here to entertain and educate. AE Live, oh! AE Live, don't you know we're gonna innovate? AE Live, got a topic here to elevate. AE Live, we're gonna entertain and educate. AE Live, oh!
I'm Michael Tolboom, creative leader for Associated Engineering, and in this episode of the AE Live podcast, I'm out in Ontario at our Markham office speaking to a few of our young professionals. Joining me today are Lydia Bradeau and Alex Rodriguez, both process designer members in training, mechanical designer Abigail Smith, and civil engineer Thomas Shuda. Welcome everyone to AE Live.
Yay!
That's the kind of energy
That's a very good podcast voice.
Not the sobbing that I usually get. All right, well, let me start out with an easy question. I know you're still all early in your careers, but can you already identify one thing you now know about working in engineering that you wish you'd known when you started? Something you wish that they taught you in school? Why don't we start with you, Abigail?
Well, one thing I think all mechanical engineers say, and probably other disciplines, is that they probably should have referenced the Ontario Building Code or any sort of code or standard in our education, because that was something that we never once looked at, and it probably would have been a good thing to study.
Is that something that changes very rapidly?
Well, I've learned that the best thing to know with codes and standards is where to find something. So the general structure of your Ontario Building Code will stay the same, although certain clauses or whatever will be updated. But if I had known where to go to find maybe like a sump specification, what types of valves had to go on the discharge, it would have been nice to figure that out in school. You learn as you go.
How did you get that information once you were practicing?
I went to Duchenne Phil, one of our favorite seniors here in Ontario, and I said, Duchenne, what do I do? I just graduated, didn't know how to learn everything that there is to learn, and he said, just study Ontario Building Code.
Good knowledge. Anybody else have some tips or stories? Thomas?
Yeah, I think this is pretty general, but the fact that
most of our job, I'd say 90% is communication, and then the rest of the 10% is engineering. So obviously the 10% has to be right. You have to make sure that your engineering details are all sound, but the fact that most of our job is coordinating, communicating with our stakeholders, with our team members, if you don't have that sound, I guess, soft skills, if you're not good with that, then you'll struggle. So those are things that I think in university should be definitely highlighted a lot more. The fact that you have to have those skills, work with your team members, be able to communicate. If you have a really good design but can't properly communicate that in a report, in a presentation, even in a call with a client, then your design's only as good as the person who's able to receive it, right? So if the contractor can't understand what you're telling them on site, you don't have that communication, then it's going to be an issue. So I hope that the future engineers coming out of school are focusing just as much on their technical abilities as well as their soft skills, working with each other.
How would you like to see something like that be implemented? Like, would you see a communications class being part of the curriculum? Or
I think just more presentations. So I think a lot of things that people maybe are scared of when they get into the workforce is having their first presentation in front of clients or in front of team members, and having more exposure to that at university, whether it be group projects or group presentations. It's a great way of exposing you to, it's not really pressure, but exposing you to the eyes, right? Because you have to communicate your design at one point or another. And so I think having more exposure to university doing those kind of things would be great.
did you have to do like a capstone project or something like that where you were presenting to municipality or?
Not to municipality, and I actually had my capstone during COVID, so a lot of it was on Teams. So maybe I got the good exposure in terms of calls online, but not the exposure in terms of face to face. So I think more exposure. And I think that'd be a great idea if there were more external people, not just your professors and your peers. If there's external eyes while you're doing presentations, that could prepare you better.
Alex, I saw you had something for this as well.
Yeah, I was also going to mention that soft skills are equally as important as being technically proficient. Like Thomas mentioned, being able to thoroughly communicate and explain the design and concepts to someone that doesn't maybe have the engineering background is quite important. And I think we see that a lot in kind of the senior engineers at AE, that they have this extensive decades of knowledge on these subject matters, but they're able to explain it to someone that doesn't have that knowledge, such as juniors, very effectively.
I like that pitch for AE.
I'm gonna slide that in.
Lydia, did you want to add something?
Just to piggyback off, Tommy took my answer, but when you mentioned capstones, it reminded me the other thing that I found really lacking in my knowledge when I got here was working with other disciplines. So I spent 4 years studying as a chemical engineer. I had a base understanding of what that discipline means, and then as soon as I got here, they threw me in to help coordinate with the electrical engineers, and I was so out of my depth. And it's just working with other disciplines and understanding a base level of what they do and what they need from you. That was, at least my school never explained or taught. And then, we work in team settings here, so it's the first thing I learned when I got here.
So when you were going through school, you were thinking, I'm going to do a design once and that's what's going to be implemented?
Yeah, exactly. If it's going to be perfect, this is it.
No codes and standards.
No codes and standards. I don't need any electricity for my pump.
You'll never have to speak to the client.
Exactly, yeah. So a few things they could improve on at university.
That's awesome. Have any of you faced a moment where you doubted your career choice? And if so, what was that helped you push through that? Thomas.
Back when I was in university, I think at a certain point I was worried that I'd sit in front of an Excel spreadsheet or a model my entire day and not talk to anyone, and I wasn't really sure if that was the career path that I wanted to go along. And then having a co-op where I was in the industry and seeing that it's a lot more than just sitting in front of an Excel table. It's coordinating with other people, communicating with your team members, actually going out to site, seeing what you're building and seeing that it isn't just you sitting in front of your laptop was sort of that switch, and that made me realize that no, this is the right industry. I did pick the right degree, pick the right, specialty that I'm in. And now that I did that, I actually do enjoy sitting in front of an Excel table some of the time, and I do enjoy the more technical aspects that if you asked me back in third or fourth year, I probably would have told you that I'm not 100% sure that's what I wanted to do.
So you are getting to do what you went to school for.
Exactly,
as well.
yeah.
That's a bonus.
Yeah.
This is more, I guess, recent, but in my first year working at AE, I was sent out to help close a project off in construction. And again, like we talked about earlier, soft skills, understanding not only how to speak to people, but what your role is on the project, and you're there to help the client, and what you should be sharing versus what's internal, all these like little nuances. It was like you're walking on a minefield. And I shared something earlier with a client from the contractor. I was just passing a message along that apparently was just not the most polite, but the point is I sent something I wasn't supposed to. I went out, I took a walk at lunch, it was a beautiful day, I come back in a good mood, I had 3 missed calls, 2 angry emails from the client. I was like, oh my god, I'm quitting, I'm getting fired, this is terrible. I was really stressed, and then the thing that held me in there was how quickly everyone came together to reassure me. First of all, project manager and my team members, like, don't worry, this is a rite of passage, we've all been there, like, here's what you did wrong and here's how we'll improve it next time. But don't worry, you're not terrible at your job. This is a tricky situation. And then even the contractor the next day came up to me outside, was like, hey, it's a rite of passage. Again, like this is just brush it off, move on. So point is, I guess realizing everyone's still a human and understands that you make mistakes and is supportive about it. I was like, okay, no, I can do this. It's just an experience thing. So not having your hands slapped too badly your first few mistakes when you're green. But it was definitely stressful when I first made that mistake, to be honest.
So for the younger engineers that are maybe looking at this as a field, do you think that that's a common thing? Like that's just how the industry is, that you'll get support when you screw up?
Yeah, I think it's inevitable that people will make mistakes. I also think the due diligence on the young engineer side to just make sure you're triple checking everything you do. You are talking to your project managers. Don't be intimidated by them because they're there to help you rather than you send an email off, go to lunch and come back. So things like that, if you're not certain, taking it upon yourself. But you're right. I think AE as a company, this is my only professional experience, but everyone I've worked with across the board here has that same attitude where it's never been me versus them. It's like us versus the issue now, So that was what made me realize just a bad moment, not a bad job,
Yeah. My first job out of university was on the public sector side, working for a municipality. When I first started that job, I was very excited, thought I'm going to be doing a lot of engineering, and quickly found out that on the public sector side, it's more about project management. So, when we have a problem, instead of doing it ourselves, we would retain the services of someone like AE to kind of solve the problem for us. And I liken it to like when you're a kid and you're watching other kids play outside and you're stuck indoors because you're getting to see all these consultants do the fun engineering work while you're busy managing them. So I think that was a moment when I kind of doubted why I picked engineering, or at least knew I wanted to be on more of the consulting side.
Because you didn't see that changing on the client side?
No.
I will say from my own experiences, I think we're all, if you went through engineering, you're all academics, you're used to getting A's or good grades or striving, kind of being a teacher pet to a degree. And for me, it was difficult coming into this environment where everybody knows everything. And I felt like I had no idea what I was doing coming out of university. We didn't have a building mechanical specific course, direction that we could take at my university. So I didn't have a lot of HVAC or plumbing experience, and there definitely was a time where that was extremely intimidating. And I think it shows that engineering is kind of like a mentorship type career. Like you come in, you're not expected to know everything, and your mentors or your bosses or your engineer leads are meant to help you kind of grow that experience and grow that knowledge. So yeah, it's intimidating, but it's part of the job, I guess.
Like that was enough of a shock to you that you were seriously considering your career?
I wouldn't say seriously considering. There's definitely doubts. Like, can I make it to be that senior mechanical engineer that I see all around me? And I think we're used to getting a course, studying, getting great grades, moving on, right? Yeah. And this is more of a long-term experience, so you learn more slowly and you kind of get that gratification of being a professional when you're Duchenne Phil and you're 70, 80 years old, so
I bet I'm gonna have to cut that.
Cut that.
even on top of that, for something that maybe they need to teach in universities, that you don't stop learning. It's not the end when you graduate. Like, our career is constant learning every day. You're finding out something new, and as the industry changes, there's new things. So I think knowing university that that's not the end, that you obviously have to keep learning until the end of your career, because there's always things changing and projects that you work on.
That's why some choose this, career, because I think it's exciting to always learn and, keep my brain active.
Yeah, I hear that from a lot of engineers. We approach things as engineers as everything is a compartmentalized problem, right? And you solve the problem, and you're happy that you did that, and then you move on to the next problem. There's another potential angle to the question, which is, were you invested in another career path and something happened to shift that to engineering?
I started in a different major in my degree, so maybe I could speak on that. I don't know if it's more my indecisiveness or I guess why I ended up choosing engineering. I started in life sciences, the whole I'm going to be a doctor one day, and then going through first year university. Courses were interesting, but it was so theoretical. Nothing was being implemented. You're just memorizing, is at least how I saw it. Obviously, that field gets exciting the later you go into it, but I just knew it wasn't for me. And I wanted to do something practical that I could. And I just loved numbers and, logic and solving problems. So it was a better fit. So I think having experienced a year of different type of learning, this feels more gratifying for sure. Once you learn something, you really understand it and know how to apply it, and it's more fun. And the people are more fun in engineering too. Honestly, I had more fun when I transferred.
How did you get exposure to engineering to find that out?
I come from a family of engineers, so I wanted to come out and do something different, and then all roads lead back to home. So they were computer engineers, and I did try my hand at software engineering too, but that is exactly what you're worried about, Thomas, sitting in front of a computer, not talking to anyone, at least from what I saw. So, I understood. I was familiar with the world of engineering, but not chemical and civil engineering. So this was a bit out of left field. Just seemed interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can brew beer if you're a chemical engineer, so that was one of the reasons.
So do any of you have some information to share about misconception about the field? Like we've talked a little bit about your expectations for what you'd end up experiencing when you came out of school. What's a misconception people have about what engineers actually do day to day?
I think when it comes to engineers, people typically think of like the person behind their computer that doesn't have many or social skills, really. But in our field, like in the consulting end, you realize that everyone you work with, to a degree, there's people who have their own specialties, but have that social, part of them, and they're very talented in how they are able to communicate to clients and internally, and kind of do that business development side of the job. And they're all still engineers. So yeah, not just nerds. There's also a social. Yeah.
I know AE's a little bit unique in that regard, because we kind of see every one of our engineers as, ambassadors and salespeople to a certain extent, right? We don't have a dedicated sales force.
Yeah, and give that opportunity for the young generation to kind of experience the sales side too, and kind of grow in that way. So it's nice that we have that option.
So you're saying if people don't want to be in constant contact with other people, they want to be hermits, they should not go into engineering?
Not necessarily true, because you could be a great technically oriented engineer and just stay with your design and your codes, and people can come to you for advice and then leave the social stuff to other people. So there's variety.
Yeah, but consulting definitely not the career if you don't like people. Yeah, it's hard to avoid for sure. No. When you hear engineering, you think nerdy kind of people, techie, but I come from a team sports background, and honestly, it's refreshing kind of how similar the energy is in an office like this when you're all working on a project. Like I mentioned earlier, from different disciplines, you're in different worlds. I don't know what these guys do all day, but at the end of the day, we're working on a project together. We come together, we collaborate, and it's fun. Like everyone, at least at this company, like you said, has a great personality, and yeah, it's funny. I was impressed how social everyone is when I first started here. Not what I was expecting.
Yeah, I think some people have the misconception that you're just going to be a number and you're looked at to have a sort of output, where I feel as what we do in consulting here at AE is we're working as a team, so there's never just you want an output from person A that gives it to person B who then takes it to person C. It's more of a collaborative approach, and I think that's one of the misconceptions is, like you talked about previously, we're not in a silo, we're trying to work together as a team, and I think that's one of the biggest things I think I didn't realize until I got here is that it's way more of a team approach. It's way more of a common goal that everyone's working towards rather than a bunch of individuals trying to have an output.
Interesting. I like that. Very happy messaging.
Drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, and then I think in my experience, one misconception would be that you just specialize in one thing, and for example, maybe you have an impression that you're just going to be sizing pumps and that's all you're going to be doing. Whereas I think one of the strengths of engineering is our ability to problem solve and adapt to new situations. So there's a lot of times when you're thrown into new situations or fields where you don't have expertise, and you just need to adapt and kind of learn that and become more of a jack of trades.
I love hearing that because I think one of the concerns I've heard from people in the past is they thought they'd be working on this sparkling array of projects, and then they ended up getting put onto one very limited scope kind of thing, and then they spent 8 hours a day doing one repetitive task, and it kind of burned them out. And I'm happy to hear that it's kind of the opposite.
I was just going to say, I've heard that can be the case at certain types of engineering firms, especially larger consultants, that you maybe are more of a number in that scenario, and you become specialized against your will. Like, okay, this is our, I don't know, one small scope item. This is our screen guy. Okay, so you're stuck doing that all day. But what I've heard from people that have worked at various firms and also AE is just by virtue of us having a smaller team, everyone has to know a little bit about everything. So since I've been here, I've gotten involved in various different process elements of design. I'm always learning something new. So not the case here, for sure.
And someone early on in my career said something that what we do is we're not a conveyor belt, we're more of a boutique shop. And so I think that we have those very unique projects that we get to work on. So it's not just sizing pumps all day. You're able to work on unique projects where you're not confined just to a certain box of this is what the design has to be. I think to go against my own point, there is the misconception that you're going to be deriving equations and redoing the wheel every single time. We're in an industry where there are standards and guidelines, and there's tried and tested methods that have been used for, in some cases, hundreds of years. And so,
is that true up again?
And so, you're not redefining or refiguring out all these calculations, but you do get an opportunity to be unique in how you design things. It's not like everything's going to be cookie cutter, but you're not also redoing everything. So I think that's a misconception that some people have on both sides, whether or not you're either going to be pigeonholed to one thing or you're going to be the new Galileo on the other end.
Speak for yourself.
Is there any part of your job that gets you genuinely excited to get out of bed in the morning? You can answer fabulous salary and benefit packages if you like, and then we can reuse those quotes on our recruiting advertising.
Okay.
Alex?
I think there's something special in engineering about seeing something tangible that you built. So, for instance, like when you're doing a design and you just see it on paper or in CAD, it's very different from that, going from that stage to actually seeing the physical building being built and servicing a community. I think a lot of the fulfillment I get is just, again, seeing those tangible projects that you've worked on.
Yeah, I guess to go off of that, I get excited about the fact that we do have these large-scale projects that, maybe going back to the last question, they're not cookie cutter. There's not a set answer that we're going to get to by the end of our design, and so that uncertainty and that challenge is kind of what excites me and gets me out of the bed in the morning. Not knowing exactly where the day is going to end up and knowing I'm going to have to collaborate with my team members and go through different iterations of a design and find the best solution is exciting. Like Alex said, seeing that then get built on site is something that I realized I would appreciate as much as I did the first time I went out to see one of my designs and seeing it. Oh, that's how big this certain valve chamber is, which is, yes, it's on the CAD and you see how large it actually is, but until you see it, you don't appreciate how big the infrastructure that we're designing is.
I know a few of you are with the water group. Like, do you wake up in the morning and think, "Wow, I'm not going to die when I drink the water out of this tap"? Thanks to my colleague.
Yeah, every morning. It's crazy. My first design was in Niagara, so be careful out there, guys.
Cut that for liability reasons.
Joking. Less of a technical answer. It's a bit cheesy, other than the huge salary. It's the people, yeah. They're just great. I love coming to the office, seeing everybody. You do your rounds, you see how people are doing, talk a bit about work, catch up. Yeah, cheesy answer, but the people make it worth it for me, at AE specifically.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Like, it is nice to come into the office and have, every type of person to talk to. There's technicians, senior engineers, project managers, general managers, and everyone's excited and to help you grow. And, you get in turn excited and more confident as each day goes by. So that's kind of, I think, for me, what gets me excited in the morning.
Yeah, this might be a buzzword, and I promise they're not paying me to say this, but the culture at AE is something that people talk about. No, but it's true. People did tell me about it back when I worked at the public sector, about how great of a culture AE has, and I was like, okay, how great could it be? And when I actually got here, I was like, okay, no, like, I see what they're talking about. Like, people do care not only about what the work we're doing, but about the people that you're working with. And it is nice to see that that's not just a buzzword that's used, that's the actual reality that we live every day. So, yeah.
That's definitely getting reused in our recruiting.
And foosball.
Yeah.
Foosball gets us excited to come into the office.
The foosball table.
Maybe related to that question, do any of you have kind of a dream project that you want to describe, the type of job you'd love to get your hands on?
I'd love a client who has endless money. But
Isn't that all of them?
well, this one in particular really cares about energy and how they utilize their energy, and they'd pay us to really narrow down the best, hybrid systems for this one building that will make it the most energy efficient, whether that's renewables, non-renewables. I want to have the time to be able to analyze every option, and if we have a hybrid system of electric here plus some renewable here, how much renewable would be the best? Maybe geothermal, maybe a battery pack, and just kind of go down the series of different systems they could have to find what is the most optimized building in the way it consumes energy.
I would bet you won't have to wait too long for that project to come along.
There's little ones that we have, but nobody with endless money.
Anybody else?
If there's any site inspector jobs in Bora Bora, that's not a colleague of mine, but I think for me, I really enjoy site visits and working on site. It's one thing to design things in theory, and in theory everything works flawlessly and there's no issues, but in the real world you often encounter problems that you don't foresee and then have to find solutions quickly to kind of address that. So I think working on site is a big motivator for me.
I have one that, this might be cheesy again, but the project I'm working on right now is, if you asked me a few years ago, would probably be my dream project. It's a large diameter feeder main. We're doing it by tunnel installation, multiple interconnections. It's been pretty complex in terms of the design. Lots of high-stake stakeholders as well. So it's been a large team, complex design, but the output of it has been really great. And I think if I would say a dream job is almost the exact same job, but me being able to apply what I've learned on this job to that one, and then also being able to go on site and seeing all that be installed would be my dream job. And then this is not something that we work on right now. We mostly focus on, I guess, the small to mid-sized tunnels that we work on here in Ontario, but being able to work on a larger diameter, maybe subway-sized tunnel would be pretty cool, and something that, if that scope ever reaches AE's delivery, would be pretty cool. So if that ever happens, I'd be very excited to be on that project team and be involved in any way.
Nice. Looking to the future, what skills or ways of working do you think would be most valuable for the next generation of engineers coming along?
I guess there's two ends of the spectrum, because obviously since we've started working AI and that whole can of worms has become prevalent in our day-to-day work, and you see more and more people using it. I don't know enough to speak on it well, but I think one end of the spectrum is understanding how to harness this technology that's so powerful and use it properly, and not fight it, but use it to realize efficiencies and deliver better work. But at the same time, I just worry that soft skills are being dumbed down by overusing something of this sort. I feel like if I was in university when we had access to, ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever, I don't know if I'd be spending the hours I was writing a good report, a good essay, practicing my presentation. I know I can't speak for me yet, but you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be relying on those communication aspects as much. So I think the risk is just overusing something like that and forgetting that we're a people business and that we need to have those skills as well. So not losing that element, I would say, to the young engineers coming through, because I probably would have, to be honest. It's just so easy to use, right?
I've heard from a few people in the last couple of years that have been in the industry for a while, and they've said that they can tell the difference between people that got their degree during COVID and people that didn't, just based on how they interact with other people.
Whoa, how so? Like, just soft skills?
Yeah, soft skills.
Whoa.
I would, to add on to Lydia's, it's an interesting conundrum because we have these tools that'll help us in a second, but then at the same time, the best engineers that we see are those that have all the knowledge in their heads, the ones that are just a library and they don't have to go to figure out where that clause is in certain code. They can pull it out like that. So it's a interesting conflict because we have all these tools to make it easier for us to learn in a way that we almost don't even have to learn. But at the same time, that's not going to help our own professional growth. So just to understand that those tools are there for, to make maybe streamline certain things, but it can't be the be all and end all.
So your advice to the next generation would be, don't forget about the people in.
Yeah, you want to be the library. Don't rely on the AI library.
and even on that, you always need to have a sound skill set in soft skills and technical skills, but it might just evolve into, if you have an algorithm that's doing your design and it gives you an output, do you have the technical knowledge to see that output and say, no, that doesn't make sense, then they go take a look at it. If you start relying on those outputs from the models and the algorithms and don't understand how it's happening and that the output you got is off by a factor of 1,000, then all of a sudden you're missing out on what you should have learned in school and learned during your job. And even with the communication part of it, if you can read an email and see it was clearly written by ChatGPT, or we're just going to end up having two ChatGPTs sending emails to each other, and all of a sudden there's no one communicating, right? So I think at a certain point, the people who are able to actually communicate in person and not just rely on a ChatGPT, and you're not asking it to tell you what to say to the next person, I think that'll be valuable, and it really separate the people who become reliant on AI versus the people who can use it as a tool and use it for its benefits, but not its cons.
Yeah, like you said, Thomas, it's not to completely disregard AI at all. It is a tool that we all need to get used to, but can't rely on or can't let it shape how our brains develop in a way.
Yeah, I was doing a check a year ago on some equation and they did completely mess it up. They changed a plus to a multiplying factor, and then if I hadn't already done the work and known what it should be, I don't even want to know what would have happened at the time. So yeah. So I'm not sure on the accuracy either. Sometimes it's a learning software as well, right? So, but yeah, you're right. We can't hide from it either. It is very efficient to use.
Yeah.
I saw something recently that was a way of evaluating whether or not a piece of text was written by an AI engine, like an LM. And the tips that it gave were things like correctly uses an M dash, or structures the argument as an odd-numbered series of parallel clauses, right? So all the people that paid attention in English class and learned to construct things properly now sound like an LM.
Yeah. Joke's on them. Yeah. Engineers are fine.
They're being penalized.
Oh, wow.
And you start asking ChatGPT, write this in a way so that doesn't sound like ChatGPT.
Yeah. It's getting too smart.
Yeah, I need you to make more errors.
Yeah.
All right, well, that pretty much wraps things up. But if any of you have tuned into our previous episodes of AE Live, you know that this last question is coming. So because this is a podcast, there's certain rules for podcasts that we have to follow.
Oh,
Which
no.
means I'm going to need some tips from each of you for either related to the construction of a proper chimichanga, or true crime story, or a recommendation for a favorite cocktail. So,
Oh.
Lydia, start us off.
Okay, I don't know what a chimichanga is,
No, I was going to say that.
and I am scared of true crime. So I guess I'll do the cocktail. Okay, an at-home margarita. I think the ratios are wrong, but you want to do 1 part lime juice, 1 part triple sec, 1 part tequila. Quality doesn't matter; it's all quantity in this scenario. You mix them together, salt the rim. And enjoy, and hopefully remember to stop after 1 because they are powerful.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
all.
that's great.
Thank you. That's what I got
It's
for
all
you
about
guys.
quantity.
It's all quantity.
I'm going to take that one home.
Let me know how it works for you.
Anyone else want to add to that? I'm happy to leave it at 1, but
I'll give a shout out to Liam Sykes from the Markham office, civil designer here. He makes a mean cocktail, and I think I don't know any of his recipes because he just makes them and I drink them. So I would say if you're ever in the Markham office and you want a cocktail, talk to Liam and he'll.
In the office, Tommy?
Sorry, no.
I don't know what the civil group does during the day.
No, he makes a mean old fashioned. So I feel like if you ever get to have an old fashioned from Liam,
Yeah,
it's a privilege.
it's a privilege.
I might have to call him up and add this in as like a
Have him call in and give the recipe or something.
like
What
live
they do
thing.
from home, so do it.
Yeah. Like the shaker. What's a chimichanga? Put you on the spot.
It's like a Mexican kind of wrap thing.
Good. Would go really well with a margarita.
Probably would, yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me today. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks,
This was
Michael.
fun.
Thank you.
Coming to you on the internet, audio, on my stem, homies know AE's where you gotta go. Shuffle to the rhythm of the Gamma Michael groove. It's a whole new Pure Plur interview. Treat your ears to the gist of careers from the list of our engineers and scientists. Maybe twist it up with technologists. It's a podcast, baby, and not to be missed. Got more fly than a ripe banana, like the salmon got the stamina streaming across Canada. Like a trade show cabana, got that swoopity swag and the 411 for my horse Niagara. AE Live, don't you know we're gonna innovate? AE Live, got a topic here to elevate. AE Live, here to entertain and educate. AE Live, oh! AE Live, don't you know we're gonna innovate?